Hi everyone, we're here to celebrate today the Roseglen Village Senior of the Month for the month of September. Ann Davis. Ann, thanks for being here with us today.
Thank you for having us.
It's a tremendous honor for you to be chosen September
Yes.
Senior of the Month for Roseglen Village.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So tell us, if you would, you're from New York, but you actually were born in Philadelphia. Tell us
Right.
how that story happened.
Well, my dad was in law school at Albany Law School, and he was having to study for exams, and my mom was 7 months pregnant, and the doctor said she could only travel until her 7th month, you know. So he said, why don't you go and visit your Auntie Mae in Philadelphia for a while? So she did, and the very first night that she was there, she was hurrying up the stairs and she fell. And I came.
That's a great story. So you were born in Philadelphia, but you're really from New York.
But I'm really from New York. Actually, I grew up in the St. Lawrence River Valley up in northern New York on the Canadian border. We could sit and watch the cars going up and down the road and the trains.
Really?
Yeah, we were that close. It was only a mile across the river. So for us, going to Canada was no big deal. It was like going to Charlotte or something.
Yeah. Tell us about your family growing up, if you would. Your dad was studying for law school. And
Yeah,
everything.
my dad was an attorney. He was a surrogate judge in Canton, New York, that's where I went to high school. And then after I left high school, I went to Albany State Teachers College and met my husband. Left school, started having kids, and along about after I'd had my 4th kid, they were all born in the 50s, I kept saying, I wish I had gone to nursing school. If I had to do over again, I'd go to nursing school. Finally, my husband got sick of hearing me say that, and we had been transferred up to Rochester, New York by that time. He was working for Recordac, which is a part of Eastman Kodak. And so there was a little tiny college up there outside where we lived, and I became a nurse. I went there for 4 years, ended up teaching there for 2 years, and by that time my husband wanted a divorce, and so I left. I'd always wanted to live in the South. I moved to Atlanta, went to Emory University and got my master's in psychiatric nursing. And then I came up and taught at Lenore Rhine.
Golly, you had a tremendous career.
And then I worked at Fry Regional Medical Center as a clinical specialist in psychiatry. And then I went to Broughton, not as a patient, but I became a director of nursing at Broughton for a short time. I was getting ready to retire, and so I left there. I had remarried by that time, saw my husband through, my second husband through nursing school also, and he passed away in 2012 from cancer, and so I came up to Roseglen. My daughter lives in Taylorsville.
Yeah. I tell you, that's a tremendous career. You know, that inspires people, because you had 4 children and then you started.
I started in. I was a real late bloomer.
Yeah.
In fact, when the story there was a nursing shortage, and all over the Genesee Valley, which is where Rochester is, there were signs, billboard signs saying, 17 to 35 become a registered nurse. 35 to 50 become a licensed practical nurse. Well, my husband said, you would never be satisfied with that. You better go for the RN. So one day I just walked into the college and I told them that I thought I would like to become a nurse, and they said, okay. It just so happened that the head of the program over there was working late that day, and I walked over and I went to her office, and I walked in the door and I said, I'm Ann Davis and I'm 38 years old. Am I too old? She said, big deal, sit down. She ended up being my boss.
Oh, really?
For 2 years, because after I left there, I worked for 1 year in geropsychiatry in a nursing home which at that time was the only nursing home in the whole United States that had its own psych unit.
Yeah.
And we were connected with the University of Rochester. And so I worked there for a year and a half, and then they asked me if I would go back and teach at Roberts Wesleyan. That's where I went to my undergraduate degree. So I taught there for 2 years.
That's tremendous. And you also have published 2 books too, haven't
Yeah.
you? Tell us about those.
The first one is called Mimi, Maudie, and Me, and it's about my grandmother and her cottage on the St. Lawrence, which was my happiest days.
Yeah.
And the second one was called Barkley, a.k.a. a small person in a black fur coat. And that is my Cocker Spaniel that we had for 10 years.
Yeah.
And
That's neat. Those
yeah.
are great. I'd like to read those.
And now I'm working on my first novel.
Really? Yeah.
And it's harder to write fiction than it is nonfiction.
Really?
It really is. Because in nonfiction, you just got to sit and tell the truth. And in fiction, you've got to relate and make sure all your dates are correct and all.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's tremendous. So
So
tell us about your 4 children then.
I have 2 boys and 2 girls. My oldest lives in Taylorsville, and she's the reason I'm at Rose Glen, because I had been considering either Hickory or Morganton to live in, because I'd lived in Hickory for 10 years and I'd lived in Morganton for 10 years. And she said, Mom, that's an hour away. She said, why don't you come look at Rose Glen? She said, that's only 20 minutes away. So I said, okay, and I just fell in love with it.
Yeah.
I really did.
It's a wonderful place. Tell us about some of the things you do there.
I don't do a whole lot of participation in things because my writing takes up quite a bit of my time. But I do interview the new residents as they come in, and that is very, very worthwhile. I just love doing that. Because I sit down and I plan on 15 minutes and it usually ends up 2 hours. So I get to know people quite well. Like Ruth's cat is Mama Cat.
Yeah.
She didn't tell you that, but we always refer to it as Mama Cat. And several of the people there have dogs, and everybody knows the dog's name as well as the resident's name. My other children still live up north. I have one son in Buffalo who is a hospice chaplain. He's getting ready to retire. I have a son out in Illinois, and I have a daughter that worked for Eastman Kodak, but her part of Kodak was sold. But she still works for them. She organizes trade shows for them.
God.
So every one of my children has been to visit. They all had to come and see exactly where Mama was living and was Mama safe.
Yeah,
So,
that's great.
yeah.
It is a wonderful place,
it
isn't it, Rose
is a
Glen?
marvelous place. I'll tell you, it is absolutely, without doubt, the best decision I ever made.
Yeah.
It really is.
And you love the combination of being able to be independent living
Yes,
while
and
getting...
yet not having to do any housework.
Yeah,
And no cooking. I love that.
and there's so many things to do there.
There are so many things to do. I do participate in the exercise classes, and I attend the movies. But basically, it's just the fellowship with the other people.
Yeah, so some really nice people
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Some great friends, and the staff and the
Oh, I love the
management's great.
staff. I
Yeah.
really do.
Yeah, well, I tell you, it's a tremendous honor for you to be chosen. Obviously,
Yes,
how much
I-
they think of you too.
Well, I love them all.
Yeah,
I really do.
They obviously love you to choose you to be the September Senior of the Month there at Rose
Right.
Glen Village. But it's a wonderful place. We've been down so many
Oh,
times.
it is.
Yeah.
It is. It is wonderful.
And I love all the residents when we go in and meet everybody, and they really take care of them.
That's one thing I noticed that the very first weekend I moved in. I met Betty, I don't know who's going to be January.
Yeah.
And she came right up to me and asked me to go to church with her, and I was thrilled that I had a ride to church because I didn't know how I was going to get there otherwise. Everybody just looks after everybody. I was so impressed with that.
Yeah. But thanks, Ann. Thanks so much. It's a tremendous pleasure
thank
to get
you.
a chance to meet
Thank
you,
you.
and a great honor for you to be chosen
Yes,
September
it
Senior of
is.
the Month. And you've had a tremendous career. And
40 years of psych nursing.
yeah, but to do that after you've had 4 children, and then
Yep.
to be there at Rose Glen, and to have published 2 books already, and we're really looking forward to your
Well, thank you.
to your novel when it comes out.
Thank you.
And thanks for being here with us.
Thank you so much.
Ann Davis, our September Senior of the Month at Rose Glen Village. If you want to find out more information about Rose Glen Village in Wilkesboro, North Carolina, go to the website visitroseglen.com. We'll be back with more of the Mountain Television Network.